Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today's guest is Hershenia Brown. Is an author and she's also known under pen Area Craig. She's a mediator, ombuds, and speaker who focuses on topics such as being a savvy career woman as a single mom. She has also written children's books on co-parenting and overcoming bullying, and she is joining us from Chicago. She is a single mom of one 23-year-old. Welcome, Hershenia. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So please share with us your story. How did you become a single parent? Was it by choice or by accident?
I wouldn't say by accident. I think that things happen the way that they happen for a reason, but I do think that it's also part of decisions, whether we wanted it to happen that way or not, the decisions that we made. So I did not choose to be a single parent, but I have a wonderful, amazing son as a result of being a single parent. My son is 23 years old now. He'll be 24 this year, and I had to kind of stop some life, a career trajectory, and a focus on my education when I was pregnant to raise my son. But then I turned right back around and got myself on track.
Awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
What were some of the challenges you faced being a single parent?
Being a single parent so I didn't have a lot of support from my family. I thought when I was pregnant, I didn't get a lot of support from my son's father at all. But he came around when I gave birth, so that was great. Trying to navigate that space was a little difficult because you have two people who all of a sudden now they're first time parents and they're not married. You know, we dated on and off, so we weren't really in a uh, a relationship to where we were committed with each other. But I was at the same time in school and kind of focused on that. And when I was pregnant, I had to put things on hold. So that has probably been a challenge, having to redirect my life because now I am responsible for someone else, and having to make plans or parenting decisions with somebody else. And we were two very different people, and we are just now becoming parents. So it's not like we've experienced it before. And then not having the support that I thought that I was going to get from family.
Yeah, understandably. And knowing what you know now, what kind of advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, that's a good one. I would definitely, to my younger self, I would tell myself to be very focused, to stay focused on what my most important values are, what my most important goals are, to not be distracted because it was a distraction. So I definitely would tell myself to stay focused on what my goals are that I know are going to secure my future before I have children. So it's not to say that I regret having my son at all. That's nowhere near what I'm saying, but I definitely would tell myself to kind of be a bit more discerning about some decisions.
Yeah, I think that's a good advice. Focusing. What is the most trait to instill in a child, do you think?
I'm sorry.
Important trait to instill.
Integrity. Integrity is very important. Since my son was a baby and since he was young, I really tried to instill within him honesty, integrity, and respect, not just for himself, but for others. There are certain things that I did not do growing up or as I became a young adult that I see that I instilled in him, hoping that he would make better decisions. I think that we do that all the time as parents. We want our children to have better lives than ourselves and make better decisions. So definitely integrity and respect and honesty.
Can you share one example how you showed it to your child?
So let me see. There are a lot of examples. Let me think. Especially with school. So going when he was going through school when he was younger and in elementary school, and even when he was younger than that, but I'll just go through elementary school. He really took time to build those relationships with his friends and his teachers, which is very important because that's what I do now. And but having those friendships was important, but I instilled within him certain values to where he knew certain people or children that he should not befriend, or if they had certain traits that were not in alignment to whatever I was teaching him at home. Those are the children that you probably want to, not to say that you want to ignore them or anything like that, but you probably want to make sure that you stay away from in terms of trying to build anything with outside of school. You want to really, I taught him to really place his energy with people who have the same likeness. You all talk the same, you like the same things. When I say talk the same, I mean like you talk about the same type of things that you're interested in. Like he's a big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. He still is to this day, like a huge fan. So if he wants to connect himself with other kids that he knows that he's going to have some type of connection with.
That sounds good. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of what was it that allowed you to see the light in the end of your tunnel? What was that catalyst that kind of pulled you out of struggle?
For me, I just was very determined. I've always been very determined. So I did not let any adversities hold me back or keep me from my goals. So even though I stopped school, when I stopped school and I raised my son, he was about 4 years old when I went back to school. So at that point, I was like, okay, I need to think about a plan so that I could secure my education, because that was very important to me before, and it should not be important to me now. It's just that I have to pivot a little bit in life. So when he was 4, I devised a plan. I reached out to some schools to figure out what I can do if they had any children, like a daycare or evening care, because now I'm working full time to take care of me and my son. So if they have a child care to where I can go to night class, that would be great. And this is around the time when he was about, I would say he was about 6 or so when I got my bachelor's degree. I finished up because I had to take classes at one school, then take classes at another school to finish up. I do some transferring of credits. And this was around a time where online school was becoming a thing. So I finished up online for the last year, and I was so happy and proud of myself because I didn't know how I was going to get there. I just knew that I would get there. So seeing that light and staying focused on knowing that I can still achieve my goals, I'm just going to have to do things a little bit different now that I have someone else that I have to care for.
Good, good. I love that you have that determination.
Thank you.
Some people are motivated by pain, moving away from something that's painful, and some people are geared towards something that's pulling them forward, some kind of a goal or a dream. Did you have a goal or a dream you were trying to feel? Was that?
Yeah, I really wanted to get my degree. Everyone in my family is educated. They're educated. Like I have my aunt has 2 master's degrees. My uncle was a journalist and was an anchorman. And I think it was San Francisco. He passed away in '86. I think it was San Francisco or somewhere, or San Diego, somewhere out there in California. But I really wanted to do that. I did not want to be a statistic or to feel like, or I wanted to make sure that I kept what was important in front of me. I didn't want to be to where I get lost along the way. I lost myself along the way. And I also wanted to make sure that even though I was a woman as a mother and a son, I had a boy. We're two different, we think different, we process things, and it's just we're two different people in how we look at the world. I wanted to be a role model for him as well. So when he became older and he chose whatever woman he was going to choose, and he was very discerning about that decision. He sees the same values in me, in this woman that he saw in me, or it's vice versa, same values, and yeah, in this woman that he saw in me.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
They say boys find their spouses or their partners to mimic their mother.
Yeah, just like women do as fathers. They look for their fathers and their spouse. So yeah.
Yeah.
Or some male role model. Yeah.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you became an author. So what have contributed for you to becoming an author and sharing?
So you know what? When my son was younger, when I would attend church and wherever I was, I always get compliments. Not just me, but he would get compliments too, about him if he was reading a book or something. When my son was in third grade, he was reading Hunger Games. So he would sit with his little glasses on and read the novel, and people were just like, like this little boy. Like he still played and did other things that children do, but he was in like, and it's funny because right now what he's pursuing he's pursuing film. So he's trying to figure out what in film he wants to pursue. But he's reading, he loves Harry Potter, he's listening to these things, and he's very creative in his mind. So for me, it was more or less, I forgot the question. I went on a tangent for a second. What was your question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How you became a writer? What prompted you to start writing books?
I don't know why I didn't remember that question out of all the questions, but that's okay. So I got a lot of compliments. So people would say you need to, do some coaching or do some mentoring for single parents. And at first I was like, no, I don't know if that's the ministry I want to take up. I was still really focused because after I got one degree, I want to get the other one. So I was so very focused. But then I kept hearing it. I just kept hearing it. So I said, you know what? Maybe if I wrote a book about it. So I started to write one big book on single parenting, relating to being a single parent and co-parenting. And then, how would you navigate the career world as a single parent? And then at this point, while I'm writing the book, I'm also engaged and I got married. I'm divorced now, but I got married, not to his dad, but to someone else. And I decided to just break them up into 3 books. Now I haven't started the 3rd book, and I think that was by divine plan, because since I'm divorced, that just wasn't a good fit. I'm writing a whole separate book on that. But but I thought that this would be a great idea for women who are feeling like they just kind of lost themselves. They want to navigate back to where they were going in life. They want to think about re-enter certain areas that they were thinking about before they were pregnant, became moms, and give them hope that they can still achieve their goals, that they can still find their way to whatever direction or path in life that they were going to take before. So that was basically how it came about.
Awesome. I'm also writing books about that.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I think we should share our stories, because everybody's story is different, but everybody has so many things that they can contribute, so many positive things, and like more so thinking about ways to be of service and to be a steward to others who are going through that same journey and really don't know what path to take or what they're supposed to do, or they're kind of stuck and they're kind of going through some anxiety or depression because they don't know what resources or what path they can take in life.
Yeah. Because at the time when I became a single parent, I was the only one in my immediate surroundings. So I was kind of discovering what the new normal looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And also like similarly, like you said, asking myself the question, who am I? I'm someone else's mom, I'm someone else's spouse, but who am I without those labels?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
What kind of advice can you share with single parents who are just stepping onto the journey of single parenting?
I would definitely find a support system. It's challenging doing it on your own. If you don't have a support system in family, then maybe friends. And as your child gets older, maybe you can seek resources like I know out here they have like Boys and Girls Club, or other resources that you can take advantage of that can support you and your child with that development. Helping them to develop certain key principles as they get older that they're going to need in adulthood, but helping you as well, because sometimes we as single moms, we need breaks. Sometimes we need to go, even if it's a staycation, we need to be to where we can kind of have a moment to ourselves and decompress and get our minds more to where we're not as stressed as we were before, take a break, and then get back into the swing of things. But yeah, definitely find some resources that would be available to you. Family, of course, is very important. If you have family that can help you with your any struggles that you're having as a single parent, or if you and your child want to, or children, you have something planned to take you and your children somewhere fun, maybe they can come along with you and develop those relationships stronger. Because as you get older, especially in teenage years, the boys are going to kind of navigate towards males in their family, and the females more towards because they're growing into manhood and adulthood, so they're going to want to connect with people that can understand them a little bit better and what they're going through their teenage cycle of puberty, of hormones, of making different decisions. I know I talked about decisions before, but that is so important. Being understood, like they're going to really navigate towards people who they could connect with. So having those role models there to help guide them through their process, if they're family, that's wonderful. Or even really good friends who you would consider as family, that's wonderful also.
Mm-hmm. How did you, like, when you were single parenting, what kind of, how did you instill kind of manly values in your son? Did you have like a more positive role model for him to follow?
Well, his dad was in his life.
Oh, okay.
His dad was, yeah. When I was pregnant, he wasn't really there. But as soon as I had him on a Wednesday, and he was there on Thursday, and both of us had fever, so we couldn't have visitors. So they got my son's fever down, and then my fever didn't go away until the Thursday. So Thursday is when I could see people when they were coming to see me and my son. And so since then, he's been actively involved. But I put him into things that I knew that he would enjoy. Like I put him into sports. He likes sports, but I had to learn earlier. Well, I learned a little bit later that he's more into individualized sports than team sports. So for instance, when I had him in baseball and basketball, he liked it, but he was more so the person that was rooting for everybody, or somebody missed a shot, he'll say, that's okay, that's okay. That was kind of how he was. And some kids when they're playing basketball, they're playing to win. They're not really thinking about, they're more upset with the missed shot than he is. So so I figured, okay, he likes this is good, but maybe I can put him in something that's more individualized. Like so I put him in Taekwondo, and he thrived. So he's actually a certified black belt now. He got his black certification and black belt when he was 17. It was a 6-year process because he kind of injured himself a couple of times. He was in wrestling and things of that sort. But going back to the male role models, my grandfather was there. Of course, his dad was there. My grandfather was there. There are people in church that were there that were role models for him. And when I had him on the baseball team, the coach was the person who I wound up marrying. So he's a baseball coach. His son was there, so they were a year apart, but they became very close. And he was a good role model at that time. But again, that's a different story when it came to marriage. So yeah, but his dad was always there, so that was one thing I did not have to worry about. But for people who were whose fathers are not there, when you get whether you have a daughter or a son, when you kind of figure out what they like and what they would be, what they would gravitate towards in terms of activity or extracurricular activities. It could be that they would gravitate towards something like chess, or that's not really a physical activity, but it's more mental. And then you can see who is around, who the coaches and mentors are then, and then connect with them and see how your children would gravitate towards them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What are you passionate about? What's next for you?
Oh, so I am very passionate about, I've been in a dispute resolution for a couple of years now, and I love it. Like I'm now here in Dallas, Texas. So I moved from Chicago to Dallas recently, and I do some volunteer mediations for Dallas and Tarrant counties. And the mediations, I love them. I do the complex mediations to where there's really some things, some challenges going on with these disputes, and hopefully I can facilitate them towards to a settlement. What I want to get into, which I hope to do sometime by the end of the summer, is and get into family mediation, because it aligns with my writing, with my books. But you have to be certified with that too. You have to go through training before you can step into practicing that type of work. And a lot of times that type of work out here will go to attorneys. But if you've been an expert in that field for a while, and me personally having gone through the child support, back and forth to court with child support with my son's father, even though he was actively involved, that was the pain point, was that child support. I talk about that in my first book. But getting the parent plan in place, that is really where I could see myself in my future, and focusing on that part of the dispute resolution as well, because everything just kind of aligns with that.
Good, awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
No, nothing more. Oh, you know what? Yeah, can we talk about one thing if you have a couple of minutes?
Of course.
I don't know if anyone else has challenges with, so as a single parent, sometimes the other parent, if the other parent is married and you're still trying to co-parent, so now you have three people, or if you're married, you have four people trying to co-parent your children. But say, for instance, you're a single mom and the husband has married, and now you have three people. That can be a challenge as well, because you have three people making decisions, and you're hoping that the father is taking a leadership role between him and his spouse in terms of what's in the best interest of the son. So you do want both parents, but you want it to be to where when your child goes over there and they're spending time with his or her father and then their wife, that they're instilling some values too. But sometimes there could be a mismatch there. There can be, and then sometimes you can have it to where you don't have a good relationship with the wife. So that was my experience. I had a good relationship with the father until the wife came in. It's like, when I say good relationship, I mean co-parenting. So as I told you before, when my son was born, when I was pregnant, he and I were kind of off and on. So we didn't have a committed relationship. There was no, from my perspective, and some people can probably agree, I was not in love with him, but we had a child. So now we have to figure out what we can do to make things work. So when the other person comes in, you can find that sometimes you can be a threat to that person. You can be a threat because she's figuring out, wondering whether or not there's a chance that you and him may get back together, even though you've already moved on. Even though I didn't get married until later on, I still moved on. I moved on before I even realized I was pregnant, to be honest with you. Then I had to tell him I'm pregnant. So now we had to figure some things out. Well, actually, he didn't figure it out until my son was born. I had to figure some things out. So he was trying to mentally process being a father for the 9 months I was pregnant. But we got on track. We did good with co-parenting. We did really good, actually, with co-parenting. But sometimes there's that challenge with the other person. So I would encourage you to do what you can within your ability to try to make things work. You can't control what the other person thinks or how they feel about you, even if they're threatened. If they get married, it should be common sense that everything worked out for them the way it was supposed to happen. But it could be a time, it could be where they still feel threatened by you for whatever reason, even though they they buried the father. But I'm saying that because that has actually happened a few times with people that I know I've come across or I've done some coaching, co-parenting coaching with. Your main concern is you and the father of the child co-parenting, and hopefully the spouse of the husband's, I'm sorry, the father's spouse will get on board. So, and by her being a woman, of course, there's going to be some things that I'm going to want her to do when my son was not in my presence, was with them. So that nurturing that he would need from a mother to kind of be like a pseudo mother, but she's still stepmother. She's not mother. So, but I do need her. I do want to make sure I'm having a good relationship with him and her. But really, that was a challenge. That was actually a challenge all the way up until my son was an adult. So then a lot of people are going through that, and nobody wants to talk about it. It is a real thing that I have talked about with a few friends and either people in the co-parenting community. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You can't really control anybody else. You gotta control yourself and how you react to things and make the best out of situation. And another thing is not to take things personally. There is a good book by Don Ruiz called The Four Agreements. One of the agreements is don't take things personally, because oftentimes we do take things personally, and then we blow things out of proportion.
That's right.
On something that was like 4-second thing that somebody said, and we're gonna create the whole thing and go on.
That's right. That's right. But I do want to be honest. She was good. She was good around my son. She still is good around my son. It's just her and I had our conflict. I didn't know why we had conflict. I mean, I do know why, but that wasn't a me problem. That was a her problem. And my minister told me before, you don't let somebody else's problem become your problem. So I just stay focused on co-parenting, and she'll figure it out later. That's what I got.
That's right.
I have to stay focused. We have to be positive the way we are raising these children. So you don't want them to see the animosity or anger or pain. I mean, I was confused about some things, but that was for her to figure out. I wasn't going to take that on.
So. Right. What would you say is your superpower if you had to pick one?
My superpower. My superpower. I think I'm a great problem solver, which really works in this situation. It really does. I am a great problem solver. Another reason why I went into the field of dispute resolution, I really do not like for people to have conflict, because I think that a lot of times most conflict can be resolved, or it didn't even have to happen. It could have been a matter of different perspectives, or like I was saying before, somebody's problem is or what they're believing or their perception is being interjected to create a problem when there was no problem to begin with. So I think that the problem solving is great. And then I try to look at things from a future mind perspective. So when I'm solving the problem, I'm looking at the pros and the cons and what's the best plan or direction to go with solving this problem. Because if I do it this way, what is the outcome going to be? If I do it that way, what is the outcome going to be? If I have not just myself, but my son or someone else that's factored into this equation, I have to consider them. Always considering them. And my son knows I'm always considering him. And the thing is that he's my only child. So I put all of my mothering and parenting abilities into him. I do that also with some things that I do with my nieces and nephews as well. But as a parent who has the role of guidance with this person, it just came natural for me.
Awesome. Problem solving is good.
Yeah. Thank you.
I considered myself one as well. Always, never, I didn't like to quarrel. I wanted to find a solution as opposed to just.
Yeah. And as you get older, who wants to argue anyway? Like, your body starts reacting to anger different. So, all of a sudden you're seeing stars. You can, your breathe, your heart is palpitating a little bit more. It's like, who wants to do? And the thing is that you can control yourself and how you respond to the situation. So why even allow yourself to get worked up, especially from a psychological perspective, if you can tell what the root is and you can get to the root and figure out how to calm everything down.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
If people would like to connect with you or learn more about you, where would they go?
They can. So my Instagram is actually connected to my pen name. So if they want to connect with me on Instagram, Aria.Craig. Aria.Craig is my profile name on Instagram. On LinkedIn, because I'm writing 2 books actually. I'm writing 1 book around workplace bullying. So I'm using my actual name. So if you want to go to LinkedIn, you would just pull up or search Hershenia Brown. So HERSCHENIA
Awesome.
on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on, sharing your life, your wisdom, your lessons, and your books with us. We'll include everything in episode notes. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. And my books are also on Amazon, and I do have a website for dispute resolution, HABrownADR.com. But all of my books are on Amazon, and they're connected to my Instagram account.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.